Okay, good afternoon. I'm Carol Fote, and I am a member of the Logan Tabernacle Concert and Lecture Series Committee. This is a continuation of interviews with people of different backgrounds and personal challenges that they often face when fitting into the community. Today, we are talking with Rida Shoorbajee. And Rida is originally from Syria and a longtime citizen of the United States. He is currently a student at USU. Good afternoon, Rida, and welcome. We look forward to hearing your story. So Rida, starting out, what are you studying at USU?
Thank you for an awesome introduction. I am studying aviation and fixed-wing aviation at USU, so I'm basically a pilot.
I understand that you grew up on the East Coast. And tell us about your family. Are they still living there? And how is it being away from them?
So they are still on the East Coast. I miss them a lot. They miss me as well. It was very hard for me and for all of us to come here to Utah by myself and live here. It was a shock to my parents. They've learned over time to support my decision to come out here, and now they fully support me being here. And with our differences that we have between me and my parents, we still love each other, and I'm going to see them hopefully this summer.
I hope you do too. Rida and I did take an opportunity to visit a few days ago so I could know a bit more about him and prior to this interview. So I do have some questions written down, and I've got them on my computer so I can look at them. Okay, so Rida, I show in my notes that when you were 5 years old, your family moved to Damascus, which is the capital of Syria, and you lived there for 8 years. When you were 13, in 2013, you moved to Virginia. So tell us what you remember about life prior to coming to the United States.
Yes, of course. So living in Syria prior to coming to Virginia, the last 2 years, so from 2011 to 2013, it was difficult. There was the Syrian civil war. For that time period from 2011 to 2013, we were living in a state of hide and seek. There were 3 factions involved in the war, and we were just trying to avoid them at all costs. And for almost 4 months, we've lived in Lebanon before we moved to Virginia. It was very difficult. We saw a lot of artillery, gunshots, and people were dying. We witnessed explosions. It was traumatic, but at the same time, I learned a lot from it. But other than that, before the war, it was a great life. We enjoyed it a lot. It was hard for me to fit in Syria. I enjoyed it a lot. I learned my best life experiences in Syria. I got to be exposed to a culture that not a lot of people know about. And I have this opportunity to talk about it. And it was amazing. The culture is amazing. The people are very rough in Syria, but that's how the culture is. But I loved it. It was beautiful.
Okay. You said that you appreciate that you experienced living in Syria and the U.S. because it gives you a perspective of both sides. Can you tell us about that perspective?
So I've learned to appreciate that as I grow up here living in America, because I can see the world from 2 points of views, and I can see the world in the shoes of the Middle Easterns, and I can see the world in the shoes of the American people as well. And I can see how people here blame things that are happening across the world on the Middle Easterns. And I can see the Middle Easterns on why they blame the Americans on what's happening in the world. And I've learned how to appreciate that, because not a lot of people learn to do that. Not a lot of people have grown to do that. And it helps me a lot in my work, in my life, and when I'm trying to make professional relationships, when I'm trying to make a beneficial trying to make good work ethic. Wherever I work, when politics is brought up, I get to bring the story of the Syrian people and the American people. And that's something that not a lot of people can do.
Sure.
So I appreciate that myself.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the Quran, because there's a lot of misconception about that. And I have to say, for myself, for people that I know, we don't understand like the jihad. You know, what's your point of view on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm glad I've given the opportunity to talk about it. So, first off, and again, I'm not a sheikh or a priest to like talk on behalf of all the Muslims. I just can talk on behalf of myself and what my parents have taught me. So there are two forms of jihad. And let's go back and explain what jihad is. Jihad is pretty much a struggle, the struggle of life, you struggling to fix yourself. That is a form of jihad. You trying to learn, but learning is difficult. You trying to understand a new language, but that's difficult. So you're trying to progress. That's a form of jihad. Now, also, you can see jihad in like people trying to recover from addiction, from alcohol, people trying to fight with that. That's also a form of jihad. And that is one of the ultimate jihad. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, Muhammad, said that it's great that to have that personal struggles, these jihads of like battling these addictions or battling laziness or just improving yourself. That is the greatest struggle, the greatest jihad that you can have on yourself. Because in our religion, we're always trying to improve ourselves. We believe that God gave us a great mind to use it to improve ourselves. Now, yes, there's another form of jihad, and it's fighting. And it is, if I am correct, and so if it pretty much explains is that if you are being attacked, you have to defend yourself. And unfortunately, in the Middle East, and I'm trying to think of the right words to say here. There are radical extremists, like anywhere in the world, in any religion. These extremists have been given guns, ammunitions, and claim to be terrorists, which is true. These terrorists use the excuse of jihad, the personal struggle, to go out there and kill people in the name of jihad, in the name of Islam. So they weaponize the peaceful word of jihad, and they take it to extreme measures. They take it in their life. They take it everywhere they go. They say, yes, life is a struggle and it should be a struggle, and therefore we should be fighting every day, mentally and physically, and that is wrong. God, Allah, does not want us to be struggling every day. He wants our life to be peaceful. He wants us to be happy. He does not want to see his people fighting nonsense left and right. And so the extremists, these radicals, have taken advantage of the word jihad and just weaponized it, made it into a nuclear bomb. That's just, yeah. And it scares a lot of the people here in America. And I'm trying my best out here in Utah, at least with my coworkers, with my friends, even with like my pilot friends, is like explain what that word, because I get that question asked a lot, is like, we understand you're a Muslim, but do you have jihad on us? I'm like, first off, that's not how it works. Second off, no, I don't have jihad on you. I don't plan to fight you or kill you at all. I plan to fly with you planes safely. I don't plan any of that nonsense.
Yeah.
But I do have a personal jihad. I do have a personal struggle. I'm always trying to benefit myself. I'm always trying to improve myself. And that's the jihad that we're taught. That's the jihad we know. And yes, there is the other jihad that I explained about earlier, but nowhere does it say, or at least to my knowledge, and again, I'm not a sheikh, I'm not a priest, so I don't know about, I do not know everything about the Quran, but nowhere does it say that you have to make a holy war on the world. Nowhere does it say that you have to make a crusade every day of your life. Your life should not be a crusade. And that's what the radicals have turned it into, that it has to be a crusade every single day, physically, mentally, and psychologically. And if the people in America would start to understand that, and we as Muslims should teach that, but it's very hard to teach that here in America, or to raise an awareness about it, or to explain that concept. Um, so thank you again for giving me the opportunity to explain what jihad is.
And thank you that I'm so pleased that we have this platform that you can talk about that. And I hope that it helps educate people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Including myself. Okay, you said you don't hate us, but you're afraid because people have assumptions as well as stereotype ideas of what you are about. Yes. You said you and your people are, and people in your same situation are afraid, and that has resulted in a communication wall. Yes. Explain that.
So, and again, this is just my opinion, and some of the Syrian opinion. This has been noticed, at least I've started noting this a lot, especially when Trump was elected as president. And the reason why I said I don't hate you guys, I was trying to say that I'm starting to fear you guys.
Okay.
A lot of Syrians, a lot of Middle Easterns, even though they're living here in America, we're starting to fear a lot of Americans. Now, I don't think we'll ever live in a situation here in America where we lived in war in Syria. That hopefully that will never happen. But there has been a lot of hateful comments, a lot of aggravation towards us, even though I am a American, I'm Syrian American. But there has been a lot of heated, aggravated words towards Arabs and Middle Easterns and Muslims. And even though Trump is not president anymore, these people are still here in America. That's what concerns me.
Sure.
And if I could, and what potentially might happen, or what could happen, or what has happened, is these Middle Easterns that come here who are already struggling in trauma from the Middle East, they're already traumatized from Syrians because they're trying to kill them. There's a civil war in Syria. Then they peacefully and legally come to America, literally trying to find a new life. And then they see American people hating them, being disgusted with them, and they don't know what to do but to be defensive and isolate themselves. Now, when they isolate themselves and they don't reach out to help, they start to become also aggravated and heated. And you start seeing these verbal clashes between Americans and Middle Easterns, Americans and Arabs. And that's what I fear. And there starts to see you. I can say that because I hear sometimes what the Syrian community here in America says is like, yeah, we don't like Americans. They're scaring us. It was better off that we lived back in the Middle East. And then now I'm living in Utah, and there's not Syrians at all. There's a lot of white Americans here, and they're like, yeah, we don't like Syrians. They're scaring us. They look weird. They act weird. Their culture is weird. Why can't they assimilate? And we don't like them here. They should go back. And you start hearing and seeing both cultures hating each other, but no one's willing to communicate. And so when I said about that border wall, on top of the no communication, you've got, unfortunately, what I think is yellow journalism, what's happening right now. And yellow journalism is like the fast propaganda and exaggeration of news and media. And you've got the media just like setting everything on fire. And they're like, this is happening, and this is to blame, and that's to blame. And they're just blaming everyone left and right. And now you have Americans living in fear because they don't know anything about the Middle Eastern culture. And you've got Middle Easterns in America living in fear because they have no idea how to assimilate with the American culture. And I think the media, and by the media, I don't mean just the media, I mean like some influential people say some things and everyone goes crazy. Mm-hmm. And that borderline, if we can have these high professional people talk about bringing people together and communicating together, sitting on a table, understanding why we fear each other, that would destroy that mental borderline.
Sure. Thank you for that. And I have to say, I did spring this on Rida right before we started recording. So
it's fine. I'm ready. Thank you.
You did an excellent job. Thank you. So what can we do here in Cache Valley to be better neighbors and to get to know and understand each other better?
First off, this is amazing. I'm glad you reached out to me, and I'm glad I gave you the opportunity so we can communicate. More stuff like this, reaching out to individuals, like, hey, would you like to talk about your culture? Because we don't know. This is an awesome platform, and I think it's really important to reach out to the university as well. Reach out to the university, be like, hey, do you have any people who are not American? Do you have people from Africa, from China, from Mongolia? Would they be willing? First off, would they be willing to talk about their culture? Reaching out to the churches, to the mosques, or in Utah, there's not a lot of mosques in Utah, but there is, like, I guess 5 mosques in the entire state. Reaching out to them, and I think the best thing is that not to force yourself on them, because we can like freak out and be like, oh no, they could be the FBI or the CIA.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, I understand that.
yeah. But yeah, I think the best platform right now, especially where I live in Cache Valley, is the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we hope to do with this is to spread the word that people will get online and watch these interviews. We'd like to see the schools get them, the organizations, Facebook, any place that we can put these out would certainly be helpful.
Yes.
Rida, thank you so much for this opportunity. And we need to chat some more sometime.
We will, I promise.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Carol.
Well, and thank you.